All right, so this is University of St. Thomas Math 005, Lesson 3, Part 8. And we're starting on the book section 2.3. And there's basically two pieces of this. One is going to be dealing with decimals, which I think is actually easier than fractions, because you are only multiplying by some multiple of 10. And the other is kind of learning how to do some word problems and working our way through those. So we'll do those probably another 2 to 3 parts, and then we'll be on to lesson 4. All right, so I have a problem written out. It's 0.2x plus 0.24 equals 0.08x plus 0.72. Now, if you take a look, and if you stop and think about this, this actually is going to make a lot of sense. Here I have tenths, and hundredths, right? There's hundredths, and there's hundredths. So since I have hundredths, I'm going to multiply by 100, all right? And that's going to make it so that all of these decimals disappear. I'm going to be able to just do regular ordinary integer, just deal with it, right? So I'm going to multiply everything by 100. So, let me spell it out this one time, and then we'll go from there. So times 100, that's going to give me a 20. I have 0.24 times 100. And that's going to give me a 24. I have a 0.08, and that's going to be multiplied by 100 as well. So that's going to give me an 8. And then my 0.72 is going to be multiplied by 100 as well, which means I have a 72. So now, by multiplying everything by 100, I have effectively cleared out all the decimal points. All the decimal points are after our integer, and we can kind of ignore that. So I'm going to rewrite this with our new numbers. So I've got 20x plus 24 equals 8x plus 72. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start moving things around to isolate that x. Shouldn't be very difficult. I'm going to go ahead and subtract my 24 from both sides. And when I go ahead and do that, it's going to leave me with an 8 and a 40, right? And then I have my 8x still, and I have a 20x here. Now I'm going to go ahead and subtract this 8x from both sides. And that's going to give me a 12x equals 48. And at this point it becomes very straightforward. I'm going to divide both sides by 12, and my x becomes nothing more than a 4. Okay, so taking a look at this, I want to do something very similar to what we just did, and I'm going to multiply this by 100. This whole thing, because I've got tens and 100ths. When I go ahead and I multiply this, I'm going to have something. If I were to take 4 and 6, I'd wind up with a 24, right? So it looks like I'm going to need hundreds in order to clear this from all of the denominators, or all of the decimal places. So let's go ahead and do that. And by the way, if you want to think about it like that, this is actually just a 4 over 10, right? And this is a 276 over 100, if you want to think about it like that. So there's more than one way of approaching a problem, and if you find that there's a way that works better for you, feel free to use it. I'm going to go ahead and multiply here by 100 to clear everything out. Now, keep in mind, this whole thing is one piece, and I'm going to multiply that by 100, and I'm going to multiply this by 100, and then I'm multiplying this by 100. Okay? So there's a few things that are happening here. I'm not going to multiply by 100 here and here. All right? I'm not going to multiply by 100 here and here. All right? It's only going to be in one place. All right, and we're going to do it to clear out those fractions or those decimals, and we'll see what we can do to clear things up. All right, so multiplying by 100, this is going to give me a 40 times x minus 0.6, or 0.6 if you prefer. Just clean that up a little bit. 0.6. And then I'm going to subtract, that's going to become a 30 times x plus 2. And then I'm going to have 276, right? 2.76 multiplied by 100 gets me 276. Now, I'm going to go ahead and distribute. And if you want to think about it like this, and I kind of mentioned this ahead of time, I want to figure out a way to make my life as easy as possible. So what I'm going to do in this next pass through, I'm going to change this 0.6 into 6 over 10 when I go ahead and distribute. Okay? So, and you'll see why I do that here in just a moment. So I'm going to have a 40x minus, and I'm going to go 40 times 6 over 10. All right, and if you think about this, this is 40 over 1. That's a multiple of 10. Here's a multiple of 10. I'm going to be able to cancel these guys and make it smaller. All right, so that's the rationale I'm using for converting this into 6/10 as opposed to leaving it as the 0.6. Some people will find the 0.6 easier to deal with. That's fine. If that's what works for you, then go ahead and do it. So then I'm going to have a 30x, and my 30 times 2 is going to get me a 60, right? And since my 30 is negative, it's going to become a negative 60, and that's going to become 276. All right. So let me go ahead and I'm going to use a different color to cancel things out so it's easier to see. I'm going to cancel this 10 and this 10. All right, so now I've got 4 over 1 and 6 over 1. That's a whole lot easier to multiply. Right, that's going to wind up being nothing more than a 24. So I'm going to scroll this down just a tiny bit so I have more room to work with. So I'm going to have 40x minus 24 minus 30x minus 60 equals 276. I'm going to start collecting my common, my like terms, right? I've got a 40x and a negative 30x. That's going to give me a 10x. And I've got a negative 24 and a negative 60. That's going to get me a negative 84. And that's going to equal 276. When I go ahead and add this 84 to both sides, okay, my 10x, that's just going to come on down. All right, I'm going to add my 84. I'm going to add 84. All right, so this 84 goes to 0, right? These two cancel each other out, which is what we wanted. And then here I'm going to have this become my 360, if I've done this right. Yes, I have. So then I'm going to go ahead and divide both of those by 10. And so my x is going to equal 36. And we're done with that problem.